From the High Definition Production Center of Troy University's Broadcast and Digital Network and Troy campuses around the world, this is Troy TrojanVision Weekly.
Hello and welcome to Troy TrojanVision Weekly. We're glad you joined us for this look at what's happening in and around Troy University. I'm your host, Aaron Taylor. Well, Troy University's leadership program teaches Troy University students how to become better leaders in a variety of situations. However, one that might not necessarily come up in the classroom is how to act at a fancy dinner. Students got a first-hand lesson in dining etiquette, courtesy of Troy University's First Lady. Jordan Elston shows us how.
Thursday afternoon, students sat down for lunch with Dr. and Mrs. Hawkins to discuss the rules of etiquette.
We brought the leadership class together, and my wife shared the essentials of etiquette. And I think it's so important in a civilized society for our students to go into the real world of business, the real world of living, understanding those essentials, what distinguishes a well-educated person from one who may not be.
Mrs. Hawkins says that learning proper etiquette is a beneficial thing that students can take with them on future endeavors.
Knowing what to do in any situation gives you confidence, which is worth so much. And we mentioned in the presentation that about 80% of all business is conducted over some type of food, whether it's a reception, a lunch, a dinner. So knowing what to do puts you somewhat at ease. Having that self-confidence puts you at ease and allows you to concentrate on the other aspects that you're dealing with in business. So that's one of the things, plus hearing back from the students that they were able to do something that they wouldn't have been before because of this class. It means so much.
Mrs. Hawkins has hosted the etiquette lunch for the past 20 years, and many students say that they learned a lot from the experience.
Yeah, we learned a lot about etiquette, not just dinner etiquette, but about email etiquette, about business etiquette, kind of how to sit, and honestly that all etiquette is based upon the golden rule, do unto others as you would have done unto them. So it's really helpful, it's really beneficial, especially as we go on to graduate and have a lot of business meetings and everything that are held around dinner and around food and everything, just kind of how to conduct ourselves and better improve our etiquette.
So basically it's just that you have to make sure you wait on the person at the head of the table and do different things while you're sitting there.
Jordan Elston, Troy TrojanVision News.
This week, some area music students got some hands-on experience in the art of vocal jazz. They learned from a couple of vocal jazz professionals who visited campus this week. Victoria Sabinina has the details.
Wednesday, Troy University's John Long School of Music hosted a vocal jazz workshop. The guests were internationally renowned vocal jazz composer and arranger Carrie Marsh and acclaimed vocal jazz performer Julia Dollison.
The Troy University Vocal Jazz Ensemble Frequency has had the pleasure of working with some of the finest vocal jazz arrangers and performers from around the country for the last 3 or 4 years, and Carrie and Marsh and Julia Dollison are with us again, and they are awesome performers, arrangers, and we're just delighted that they're here.
For Marsh and Dollison is the second visit to Troy University. They explained the main concept of this workshop.
And we are just here to kind of develop their musicianship and work on the pieces that they've prepared, just make them as refined as possible. The idea is to try to be expressive and perform your music as professionally as possible.
Troy University students had a unique chance to learn from real professionals, and some of them shared their emotions with us.
I have learned how to use good vocal technique in all genres, and I believe that this information will transfer both to this group musically and to my own pedagogical experience later in my career.
Carrie and Joey are fantastic, and we're growing immediate results, so I can't wait for session 2.
The workshop with Dothan High School will be held on Thursday at Troy University. Victoria Sabinina, Troy TrojanVision News.
And it wasn't just Troy University students getting the training. Some area high schoolers were trying their hand at vocal jazz as well. Angel Norris has that story.
High school students from across Alabama came to Troy University Thursday to show and learn more about vocal jazz. The students came with prepared pieces and were given tips and tricks on how to make their numbers better from vocal jazz professionals Carrie Marsh and Julia Dollison.
This is a new group that we started this year, and it's got about 50 girls, and it's a concert choir. And I told them at the beginning of the year that we would do a lot of different styles, and this was just a great way for us to be introduced to vocal jazz and to see other groups in the state that are doing the same thing.
The students hope to learn a lot and take back some of what they learned to their own schools.
To sing for the jazz group and show how so they could help us sing and show us new techniques and how to do it.
We wanted to be introduced to vocal jazz and because we're a new group and we want to learn different things.
Johnson hopes that her group will be able to take what they learned and apply it to their music when they get back.
I think it just kind of gave them an opportunity to see what the other groups in the state are doing and kind of some different styles that they can try for our spring concerts and see and meet other people in the state that are doing the same things we are.
Angel Norris, Troy, TrojanVision News.
Have you ever wondered why there are more stay-at-home moms as opposed to stay-at-home dads? Well, that and similar gender-biased issues were discussed in this week's Times Talk. Jordan Elston explains.
Wednesday, students had the opportunity to discuss the topic of gender gaps at this week's Times Talk.
We just talked about gender gaps, which kind of led into a generation gap, and just kind of the issues that females face within education and the workforce, and kind of maybe how men are more stereotyped to do better in the workforce, and just how to be more open-minded about those issues.
Many gender-based facts were presented at the beginning of the Times Talk, and students expressed that they enjoyed hearing the differing opinions voiced in the discussion and also shared a few things that they learned.
It was really cool to hear different opinions from different generations, since we had some professors or older persons in the room, as well as some of the younger undergraduate students.
The stereotypes in America from past generations that have been accepted are still being fought. They are being fought today. And the younger generations are becoming a bit open-minded with accepting women in certain roles that men were usually occupying.
Although some students did say that there are currently inequalities between the sexes, they are also hopeful that this generation is slowly trying to close the gap.
I would like to think so. I would like to think that we have a lot of people that want to and that would like to, but I can't speak outside of my own bubble. I know that's what I want to do.
One thing I suggested today was that people should just be more open-minded and understanding that this is a new time in America that women can become welders and men can be stay-at-home fathers.
I think some of us are kind of set, well, this is the way it is, but I think there are a few who are willing to make that change, and I think that the more people who step out of the stereotypes are gonna, encourage more people to do that as well. So I think we're slowly but surely making progress.
Jordan Elston, Troy, TrojanVision News.
Times Talk meets every Wednesday at noon in Trojan Center Room 119. Well, we're going to take a short break, but when we return, we'll see some of the action coming out of the Trojan News Center in Montgomery. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Hart, what's going on? I'm leaving. Why? What did I do? Not enough. You constantly ignore me. You barely eat anything healthy. You're half as active as you used to be. The pressure is just too much. I quit. Okay, I get it. I'll do better. Just please, don't leave. Okay, but remember, if I go, you go.
Listen to your heart. Don't let it quit on you. Uncontrolled high blood pressure could lead to stroke, heart attack, or death. Get yours to a healthy range before it's too late.
This is Dr. Daniel Smith. He's an expert in domestic and international economics. But his proudest achievement is connecting with his students and helping them accomplish more than they ever thought possible. That's the warrior spirit, and it's alive and well at Troy University. Feel it at troy.edu/spirit.
Now back to Troy TrojanVision News Weekly.
The Alabama Department of Archives and History gives the public a chance to learn about history during their lunch hour. Amy Austin gives us a look from our Trojan News Center in Montgomery.
Every third Thursday of each month, the Alabama Department of Archives and History invites the public to sit in on a guest speaker during their lunch hour, and the department calls this series Architreats.
Every third Thursday, we bring in a different speaker on a wide variety of topics of Alabama history. So everything from civil rights to Civil War, Native Americans, foodways, all sorts of different topics. And so it really gives people something different to do on their lunch break.
The speaker for this month is known as Dr. Martin Luther King's smallest freedom fighter, Cheyenne Webb Christburg. And Museum Communications Officer Georgia Ann Connor said how important these stories are around the 50th anniversary of Bloody Sunday.
So important to be able to bring in someone who experienced these things and you can hear so that you can hear firsthand from someone who was there. It's just really powerful and just an incredible opportunity for the public.
And Webb Christburg said she hopes her stories impact both children and young people listening the same way she has been impacted.
Usually when my voice is heard based upon my story, it ignites a feeling that gives a young person not only the educational aspect of how my experience made a difference with me, but I want them to have that same feeling that I got that was fueled in me from adults as that little girl.
The Alabama Department of Archives and History holds the Architreats every third Thursday of every month, and admission is free. In Montgomery, Amy Austin, Troy, TrojanVision News.
And that's not the only education going on at the archives. March is Women's History Month, and all throughout the month, famous women in Alabama history are being featured in an exhibit at the Archives building in Montgomery. Once again from our Trojan News Center in Montgomery, here's Bethany Wilson.
The Museum of Alabama, located inside the Alabama Department of Archives and History, recently held a themed tour titled We Can Do It, The Lives and Times of Alabama Women.
We had a guided tour by Miss Debbie here at the Archives and History Museum, and she focused on the role women have played through Alabama's history, starting all the way back to 14,000 BCE when we had the first inhabitants of our state, up to modern times, post-civil rights movement. So it really explored the many different avenues that people don't really think about when it comes to women in time.
The tour demonstrated how women's role in society has changed throughout the years and spotlighted some very famous women in Alabama history, as well as a few unknown women who played a very important role. A couple of tourists shared their favorite parts about the tour.
I just enjoyed all of the different women that I was not familiar with and then the impact that they had on our history.
Progressive stage that the U.S. was going through, and the different women who kind of stood up and took that active voice to make a change.
The Museum of Alabama offers free guided tours every Saturday at 1 o'clock, so make plans to attend and see Alabama's history come to life. Next month, the guided tour will examine Alabama's military past. Again, tours take place every Saturday at 1 o'clock at the Alabama Department of Archives and History located in downtown Montgomery. Tours are open to the public and admission is always free. In Montgomery, Bethany Wilson, Troy, TrojanVision News.
On Thursday, some Montgomery residents had the chance to help fill some empty dinner tables by filling some empty bowls for themselves. Felicia Payne gives us a look from our Trojan News Center in Montgomery.
The Montgomery Area Food Bank helps more than 300,000 people throughout central Alabama each year by providing food to those in need. And the community had a chance to give back to the organization on Thursday during the Empty Bowls fundraiser.
This is the 9th annual Montgomery Empty Bowls fundraiser. Our purpose is to raise money for the Montgomery Area Food Bank. We have come together. Margaret makes the bowls. We also include in our fundraiser a silent auction. We advertise and people come and pay $25 and they go home with a handmade bowl, and everything that we have is donated, and 100% of our profits go to the Montgomery Area Food Bank.
And while this fundraiser has been going on for some time now in Montgomery, it is not a concept unique to the river region.
In '91, a man from Michigan, an art teacher from Michigan, encouraged his art students to give back to the community by making bowls and then selling them at a luncheon type event. That was the first Empty Bowls, and it has spread really through potters. So it became really a neat grassroots effort. They're held all over the world for various different fundraisers.
Organizers say that they feel this event is special because there are many different ways that the community can get involved.
It's a community effort and it brings people together. Whether you're making bowls or serving soup or just you come and you purchase a bowl and you sit together with maybe somebody you've never met before, it brings our community together.
It is a beautiful thing to see people who have never had clay in their hands. And it's really quite a privilege to see people put bowls together.
Those who were unable to attend the event are still encouraged to donate to the Montgomery Area Food Bank. In Montgomery, Felicia Payne, Troy, TrojanVision News.
Montgomery's downtown branch of the public library is offering up a way for fathers and daughters to spend quality time together while promoting the enjoyment of reading. Once again, here's Bethany Wilson from our Trojan News Center in Montgomery.
Many people look forward to Saturday as a day of recreation and fun. Ron Simmons, along with his daughter Erin, created the program Dad and Daughter Saturdays, which Simmons feels is a wonderful way for fathers to spend quality time with their daughters.
Dads is a program that my daughter and I started about 3 years ago. 3 years ago. I just used to take her to the library on Saturdays. So decided that this was a program that I would introduce to the public. I graduated into Leadership Montgomery, and one of the things that Leadership Montgomery teaches is when you find a void within the community, fill it. And I identified that dads don't spend a lot of time with their daughters, and it's always the mother who's with them.
At each event, a Dad of the Week is chosen to read to the children. Kip Harding was chosen as Dad of the Week, and he read Sophia the First.
I like just getting ready to come because the kids are all excited. It's on a Saturday, so I don't have to worry about shaving or anything. We just come out here and have a good time, and they, like he was saying before, they always remind us, hey, we gotta go, Dad, we gotta go. And I really enjoy that excitement.
Dads, if you're looking for something fun to do with your daughters, head on over to the library every second Saturday for food, fun, games, and much more. Simmons says everyone is invited to attend Dad's, and you never know who might stop by.
The police chief of Montgomery has been here. We've had judges and all types of people who are here. So it's an exciting time for the dads to come out, spend time with the daughters, build a bond. We have fun, we laugh, we play. There's always an activity.
Dad's is sponsored by Dreamland Barbecue and the Montgomery City County Public Library. The next meeting will be held on Saturday, April 11th at the Juliet Hampton Morgan Memorial Library, beginning at 11 a.m. In Montgomery, Bethany Wilson, Troy, TrojanVision News.
When most people think of pie, they think yummy treat, but the students of the Mathnasium Learning Center in Montgomery gave it new meaning as math fans all over the nation celebrated Pie Day this past Saturday. Victoria Bailey has the story.
When you think of the word pie, you think of something delicious to eat. But March 14, 2015, the Mathnasium of East Montgomery used pie in a variety of ways.
We're celebrating the Pie Day of the century. The estimate of pi stops at 3.1415 when you estimate the first 5 digits, and with it being March 14, 2015, marks a great day for math enthusiasts all over the world.
The Mathnasium is a math-only learning center for students 2nd through the 12th grade, and one tutor, Dontavia Scipio, tells us exactly what they offer students.
Kids come in, I sit them down at a table based off of what their grade is, lower levels in the front, high school in the back, and then as a learning center instructor, my job is to go around helping sign the kids in, help them, ask them if they have any homework, help them with their homework, but my main purpose is to help them get through their learning plan, their Mathnasium curriculum.
Pie Day consisted of several activities for the students, including arts and crafts, math problem contests, and a pie baking contest. This is the Mathnasium's first Pie Day, and Scipio tells us what he hopes for in the future.
I hope this becomes an annual thing because this is very fun, and this is very good for especially the younger kids to learn about pie. And that way when they grow up, they don't grow up wondering, pie, I thought that was something you eat.
Reporting from Montgomery, I'm Victoria Bailey for Troy, TrojanVision News.
And this year's Pie Day had special meaning to math fans as the date and time formed the numerical version of pi up to 8 decimal places. Well, we're going to take another quick break, but when we come back, there's some offerings from our friends at Troy Public Radio, so don't touch that dial.
Did you know kids who play outdoors have healthier lungs?
Totally.
Did you know that boys that play with dolls make better husbands?
My son has lots of dolls. But did you know terry cloth diapers breathe better?
I did.
It's totally true.
Oh, yeah.
Did you guys know statistically friendly kids have more friends?
Yeah. That's obvious.
Did you know most people think they're using the right car seat for their kid, but they're not?
Parents who really know it all know for sure that their child is in the right seat. Visit safercar.gov/the right seat to make sure your child is protected.
The warrior spirit. It's in there. Always has been. Now let it out and take the world by fire. Train well and learn what it means to be a Troy Trojan. Walk with confidence, conquer, claim territory, and climb ladders. Know that you have the power to stand alone, but the comfort of knowing that you'll never have to. Discover your inner warrior. Find it at troy.edu/spirit.
Now back to Troy Trojan Vision News Weekly.
Each week we take some time to hear some of the work done by our broadcast partners at Troy Public Radio. This week we'll get another sample of Talk of Troy, the student-produced newscast of Troy Public Radio. Let's take a listen.
It's the Talk of Troy. Voices and sounds from the campuses of Troy University. I'm Joey Hudson. The first weekend in March marked the 50th anniversary of the Selma to Montgomery March and the events of Bloody Sunday. As Troy Public Radio's Wanda Norris reports, Troy University was part of the commemoration.
The Rosa Parks Museum on the Montgomery campus hosted 2 events as part of the week-long observance. Among those who visited the museum was the Reverend Jesse Jackson, who also spoke with Troy Public Radio.
How important was it for you to be here this year?
It's important to be here to revive the strength of the voting rights act.
The Rosa Parks Museum also served as the backdrop for national programs such as CBS's Face the Nation.
We are joined now by Senator Tim Scott, the first black Republican elected from the South since Reconstruction. He is in Montgomery, Alabama.
For more of Troy University's Civil Rights Commemoration, visit troy.edu/civil rights 6050. For the Talk of Troy, I'm Wanda Norris.
The Hall Waters Prize recognizes significant contributions to Southern heritage and culture, and this year, best-selling author Pat Conroy is being recognized at the upcoming Alabama Book Festival. Dr. Kirk Kernett, the chair of English for Troy's Montgomery campus, says that Conroy's award is well-deserved, and Conroy isn't just popular in the South.
Pat Conroy's produced an amazing body of work over the past 45 years. He's very popular throughout the United States.
Visitors to the book festival will also have the opportunity to work on their own writing. The Alabama Book Festival will be held on April 11th in Montgomery. For more information, the website is alabamabookfestival.org. I'm Joey Hudson, and you've been listening to The Talk of Troy, a production of Troy Public Radio.
Throughout the week, Troy Public Radio can be heard on 89.9 in Troy and Montgomery, 88.7 in Dothan, and 91.7 in Phoenix City. And it's time for our last break, but when we return, we'll hear more from the visiting vocal jazz artist. Stay tuned, we'll be right back.
It's a beautiful day out here, sunny today with light breezes, giving way to clouds in the afternoon. We could see some light precipitation to moderate precipitation later on, followed by powerful storm-like conditions. 90 miles per hour winds are expected. Authorities are asking everyone, stay indoors. Come on, that's it, let's go.
The warrior spirit. It's in there. Always has been. Now let it out and take the world by fire. Train well and learn what it means to be a Troy Trojan. Walk with confidence, conquer, claim territory, and climb ladders. Know that you have the power to stand alone, but the comfort of knowing that you'll never have to. Discover your inner warrior. Find it at troy.edu/spirit.
Now back to Troy Trojan Vision News Weekly.
As we mentioned earlier, a pair of vocal jazz musicians were on campus this week to share their knowledge of the art with area students. I had the chance to talk to the artists about their trip to Troy. Hello and welcome to Trojan Talk. I'm your host, Aaron Taylor. They have a pair of guest artists visiting Troy University's campus, Julia Dollison and Carrie Marsh, vocal jazz musicians, here to talk with some Troy University students and some area high school students about vocal jazz. And we'll get more into that in a little bit. But first off, give us a little bit of background about yourselves and a little bit about what vocal jazz is all about and how you got involved with that.
Absolutely. Well, I am currently the director of vocal jazz ensembles at University of Northern Colorado, and where Julia will actually start teaching with me as well in the fall of 2015. So we regularly go around and clinic folks on vocal jazz music, which is essentially what we're doing here in the next couple days. We both have backgrounds in vocal jazz for the past 20 or so years. It really encompasses the music of, say, groups like the Singers Unlimited and New York Voices and the Real Group and Take Six. We're two of the members of a professional vocal jazz group called the Vertical Voices. That travels around and performs once in a while as well. And I'm an arranger, Julia is an arranger as well. But I write a lot of music for vocal jazz ensembles and publish that music at my website, which is carriemarsh.com. And Dr. Arlovsky has programmed some of our music with her ensembles for a little while, and that's how she came, I think, to know us and our music. And we came out a couple years ago and did some clinics with Frequency, which is a really great group you guys have here. And we're just really, really happy to be back. And Julia went to the University of Miami and studied all of her vocal jazz out there. I don't know if you want to talk about your background as well.
Sure. Well, it's great to be here. Frequency is just reliably great every time we hear them and hear about them. And we're very honored that they're performing our music and that we get to work with them. My background is vocal jazz major, both degrees at University of Miami, undergrad and grad, and then on the faculty. Lived in New York City for a while, and then we met at a jazz conference where we'd been individually going for years, and our friend said, hey, you two should hook up and collaborate, and we did that and then some. Mm-hmm. My specialty is, while Carrie's great with directing vocal jazz ensembles, my specialty is solo jazz voice. So I teach the private lessons, and I'll be listening for some of your star soloists in the group.
Try to pull somebody out and work a little bit with them individually. Now let's talk about working with the students. So you mentioned that you're here working with Frequency, and it's a group that many folks around here are familiar with and the performance they do. But one other thing that you're doing as part of your visit is working with area high school students who have no experience in vocal jazz. Yeah. Frequency is an established group, and you've mentioned how great they are at it, but working with high school kids who have no experience in high school jazz, is this something that you're used to? Is it something that you've done before?
It is something we're used to. It really, when we give clinics and workshops with vocal jazz groups, we'll hear all spectrums from ensembles that are really coming in as classical groups that do one jazz tune that year. And we try to give them really the fundamentals of what it is to be a vocal jazz group. Talk about basic improvisation, which is a part of what we do. We talk about the different ways that we form vowels and consonants and utilize the microphones and sound systems. Some of that's completely new to folks, and we expect to see that perhaps tomorrow with some of the groups. And we're really welcoming of that, because really happy to see vocal jazz expanding and more folks having that opportunity. We think it's a really relevant art form to be participating in, because it relates so much to a broad range of what people actually do, in popular culture. It relates to pop music and rock and studio singing, and gives skills for all areas of professional singing. In addition to vocal jazz itself.
And of course, the potential, as Julie mentioned, of hearing that maybe that diamond in the rough that you may hear come out of these groups.
It's one of my favorite things to do, is work with a group that's relatively new to jazz. It reminds me to remind them that I was where they were at their age. I hadn't heard jazz before, and it was a little bit intimidating and challenging, but so rewarding. So we like to encourage them in that way too.
Encourage them, and here's hoping that you might get the chance to open some eyes to some vocal jazz that may not have had experience with it, and maybe start a career path following in y'all's footsteps as part of the vocal jazz movement here in the United States. I want to thank you for joining us, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your trip here at Troy.
Thank you so
Thanks
much
for having us.
And thank you for joining us on today's edition of Trojan Talk. And that's all the time we have. We hope you join us again next week for another edition of Troy TrojanVision Weekly. Have a good week.